You got Dami on the bandwagon, and all of a sudden you win 56-19 against the Miami Dolphins. That had the Dolphins won today, could have made a real statement. But and guess what the Ravens do? Run the damn ball. That's all I got for today. All right, we are live. Pop, how you doing, man?
Doing good. I guess a little bit of a good news, bad news day, son.
More good news than bad news, in my opinion. At this point in the season, there's no reason to get a win. No reason to get a win after the way things have been going, guys. In case you have not been aware, the Commanders did lose today to the 49ers. It was more competitive than we thought it would be. They put up some fight. The first half.
27-10.
First half was decent. I can't remember what the score was. 13-10 going into the half. We had a chance. But, you know, Sam Howell, 2 interceptions in the second half, kind of came unglued a little bit, despite a strong start on his behalf. And is tough. He's in a tough situation there with the whole benched, unbenched, snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. It's tough.
How about the drama of the week? You know, we get the Jacoby Brissett. The time we recorded the pregame pod, we weren't sure. And then we get the Jacoby Brissett news that he's going to start. And then all of a sudden, pulls a little hammy.
Yeah, gets a little tall.
It's a little up tall.
What do you think? You think he was, did we check local water parks around the area? Was Jacoby Brissett hitting the water slide? I know it's a little cold, but maybe indoors.
He went through the whole, Nikki Jabala posted his pregame workout. He went through the whole routine, but he definitely had a limp.
Think he got the Garmin Approach R10 like we did for Christmas? So it was
back's a little sore.
Striping it a little bit in the garage.
Little suspicious. I'm not a conspiracy theorist type person, but you know, I think in the end of the day, I think it was good to see Sam out there. He played a good first half, not a good second half. Started pressing again. Maybe gives him some room, a little bit of encouragement in terms of the plays he was able to make in the first half, but you know, definitely cost us. But you know, I don't know. It's the same old with this team, but why not run the ball more? I mean, B-Rob only ends up with 9 carries, you know, for 44 yards, almost a 5-yard per carry average. I mean, we would just refuse to run the ball in a game like this. It seems like it would have made so much sense. 14 run attempts, only 28 pass attempts, not a lot of plays.
Yeah,
in general.
It's super frustrating with the whole run pass thing. I'm ready to never watch another Commanders game called by Eric Bieniemy again. It's funny, from the moment we did our buy or sell podcast, where I said I'd buy Eric Bieniemy as the next head coach because I was happy with the way things were progressing with Howell and with what I've seen from Bieniemy. From that moment on, it's all fallen apart, and Bieniemy is as much to blame as anybody else. And I know there's, you know, people saying he deserved the shot at being a head coach, and maybe with his prior resume, I agree with that. But I think this year he's shown some bright spots, but he's shown for this situation he was not the right guy for the job.
Well, I mean, the best coaches adapt their game plan to the players, and he's not doing that. And you know, that's concerning to me. And also coming from a former running back, it's just a bit bizarre. And you know, 2 things can be true at once. We're not saying Sam Howell has played well, and by any stretch of imagination doesn't have responsibility for what he's done out on the field. He does. But it's just hard to explain the game plan. And, you know, I know there were a lot of short throws today, and you could say they're runs, but it seems like we just had success running the ball, and we refused to do it. And
yeah, but the whole short throws or runs thing is garbage to me. I hate that. I know the math favors it analytically, whatever. That's just not how the game works. On a short throw, the first step the offensive lineman has to take is backwards, not forwards. On a run, the first step the offensive lineman takes is forwards. That drastically changes based on your talent and what you have, that drastically changes the outcome. On a short throw, you've got a running back that's got to come across and block on a bubble screen or something like that. You've got tackles and guards that have to get outside and block. On a run, you've got guys going downhill, forward. It's completely different.
Well, and I'm in no way comparing this team to the 49er team, right? But look at the difference. 49ers have 39 rushes to 28 pass plays. Right now, of course, they have the ball a lot more. They
have Christian
got a
McCaffrey.
lot more plays, but they're protecting that young quarterback to a degree and putting him in situations where the defense just can't tee off and go after him all the time. It's really, really difficult to explain. Only one more game of seeing it, and we'll see where we go from there.
The league is changing, man. I think there's a big notion of this being a pass-first league, and it was for a while, and it obviously still is. But defenses are adapting to that, and you see teams like the Chiefs that used to take the top off the defense, not taking the top off the defense the way they used to. You see teams like Miami, who, even though they've got the fastest guy in the world, they run the ball really, really well. It is essential. The best offenses in the NFL right now are predicated on running the ball. It's essential.
Yeah, I agree.
Just look at our win-loss record and look at our pass attempts to run attempts ratio. It says everything you need to say.
But
I know
it's
we got
also,
a little off topic here.
But it's also, when we're good on topics, I mean, it's also, I think about the situation, understanding the situation, the team you're playing, the quarterback who wasn't supposed to play and is struggling a bit. It's tone deaf to like the situation and
half your offensive line is on injured reserve.
You ran the ball great. I mean, not just B-Rob, right? I mean, AG had some really good runs. Like, anyway, I mean, we're harping on it, and we could go on, but it just doesn't make any sense. And thank God it's
not going to matter in
over.
2 weeks. It's not going to matter in 2 weeks. It's not going to matter next week because Dallas, with a win, can win the division and can get, I think, the 2 seed or the 3 seed. So they're going to come in and beat the doors off us. We're going to do a little Dallas talk in a bit.
But a little bit more on Sam just overall, maybe before we skip ahead.
We're not getting into Dallas talk yet. So in a bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, good first half, good deep ball to Terry. I thought it was a nice touchdown pass.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Led some good drives there. You can't say he played a good game overall. It was a poor second half with some very, questionable throws. Could have probably had a third pick in there. But tough spot for the kid. We talked about how bad we felt for him. And even though, the other interesting dynamic, I think, is watching the game together, which is, I think, the first time we've been able to do that all season in person. I don't know if we saw I'm pretty sure. It's the only time we've been able to do that this season. I'm positive of it. We were still rooting for this team to play well and to win. And although we know at the end of it all, the best thing that could have happened with the loss, especially with a couple of the breaks that we got in the game.
Yeah, and things are looking up right now in terms of draft position. It is razor thin on the strength of schedule between the Patriots and the Jets.
You're the expert at this.
Right now.
It
is literally down to the 4th decimal point on strength of schedule between ourselves and the Patriots. Now, at this point in the season, every single game is going to impact this strength of schedule going forward. So, for example, we need Pittsburgh to win. So if Pittsburgh wins, that has a very positive impact on us. There's a couple graphics floating around on Twitter. Maybe we'll throw them in here. Maybe you'll see them on Twitter as well. That kind of describe this. But, I mean, I'm talking like the Atlanta Falcons versus the Saints game has an impact on where this is headed. It is razor thin. The good news is Patriots are playing the Jets. Jets have not beat the Patriots in like 15 or 16 straight. So
and both teams want to lose, so I could go anyway.
Patriots lose next week, hopefully. And Patriots win next week, hopefully. And Commanders lose next week. We lock up the number 2 overall pick.
Why don't you just take a step
insane.
back? I know you're juiced, doing a great job, but explain why we're even in this position to having this discussion.
Because the Cowboys had a crazy controversial win over the Lions last night. Is that where you were going with that?
And the Eagles lose to the Cardinals.
And the Eagles lose to the Cardinals. Jonathan Gannon,
as well.
revenge game, even though he was, hired and promoted, not necessarily fired. But it's more fun to say revenge game for Jonathan Gannon. A lot of guys blamed him for the Super Bowl loss, and he came out and beat the Philadelphia Eagles with Kyler Murray. How you doing? And the Cowboys losing last night, some people on Twitter don't really understand how to play chess. They just play checkers. They said, we fell to number 4 because of the strength of schedule. Well, now the Cowboys, after the Cardinals beating the Eagles today, control their own destiny next week. They've got something to play for. Had they lost last night, they wouldn't have had something to play for next week, or they would have still needed help from Philly. Next week, now they control their own destiny. They get a win. They win the division. And what a crazy ending to that game last night, huh?
Yes, I mean, it maybe kind of leads into the preview for next week's game with the Cowboys, right? But, absolutely crazy officiating, controversy over whether or not the lineman reported. I mean, Dan Campbell shows major palinas and going for 2 at the end of that game. It was a lot of fun watching that game.
Yeah, it was a great game. That was a lot of fun.
And then he keeps going for 2, which was like, kind of ridiculous, right? He keeps going for 2, even though they keep getting pushed back and the degree of difficulty is that much higher. I thought that was pretty bizarre. But, shocker, the Cowboys get the breaks at home.
Believe it or not, Jara makes the call. Things get done the way they need to get done. Now, there's people saying
there's calls that, to be fair, calls kind of went both ways that weren't good.
But when a player reports to an official, and it's clear at this point that this was the case because the officials have been demoted and will not be allowed to officiate for the playoffs and have been demoted in 2024. Look it up if you don't believe me. So the player clearly reported to the official, and the official did not make the announcement, which would then allow the defense to adjust if they needed to. So that's 100% on the official at that point. There's no debate. So that's heinous. I mean, that just cannot happen. There's people on Twitter saying Goodell technically has the power to overturn the game. That ain't happening. And we don't want it to happen, frankly. That's not good for us. But wow, what a crazy
what happens in that case? Does the official just not admit to his mistake?
Essentially, the official gets together with the other group of officials, and this is where the problem is if the announcement was not made, which it was not, the defense did not get the chance to adjust. They were not made aware of what they need to be aware of.
You can't penalize a team in that situation.
You can't penalize a team in the situation, but you're also, by not penalizing, you are by default penalizing the defense because they were not aware that the left tackle is eligible. You're putting them at a disadvantage when you don't make the announcement. So it's a nightmare. It's a complete mess, because you can make the argument that if the defense knew the left tackle was eligible, they would have been aware of him and would have tried to guard him. It's a disaster. This is a multi-billion-dollar product. It is that guy should never be allowed to officiate. He shouldn't even be allowed to wear black and white at the same time ever again in his life. I mean, that is just a complete...
Right.
It's laughable. It's horrible. But Cowboys get the break. Break is good for us. Cowboys are going to come in, blow the doors off us next week. They beat us 45-10 in Jerry World. They've got to win next week in order to win the division.
Yeah, they're currently at the number 2 seed, tied with the Lions and the Eagles at 11-5 behind the 49ers. So, yeah, big game for them. Super important.
Yeah. They lock it up if they win. They control their own destiny.
Yeah.
So, got to be pulling for the Cowboys next week. As horrible as it is, as much as you don't want to see it, it is what it is. It's what's better for the team. It's what's better for this organization potentially for the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. We're in a situation where we can land anywhere from the 2nd pick to the 4th pick. Is that right?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what happens if we win.
I mean, just assuming we lose, I think it's...
Assuming we lose...
It's in that situation, right, from where you went into
I don't think we fall
right?
below 3, assuming we lose. It's just if we're going to be 2 or 3, because Arizona's strength of schedule is significantly higher than ours. So I don't believe, even if Arizona loses and we lose, I think we still will be number 3. But it's a matter of 2 or 3. And that 2 or 3 makes a huge difference because now you're talking about if you like both Caleb
You're
Williams
locked
and Drake
into
May,
one of them.
you don't have to make a move.
Right.
If you like both of them, you can just sit and let Jesus do what Jesus does, and that's it. And maybe Chicago says, we're here. We want Marvin Harrison Jr. We're taking him. Maybe Chicago says, we want a left tackle. Washington, would you like to move up? And then we can get whatever left tackle we want. It doesn't cost us as much to move up. All those things are in play, right? So there's a lot. There's a lot.
Josh
to go
Harris
there.
magic.
The Josh Harris magic.
So you're saying
Trust
no
the
worse than
process.
third with a loss based on your.
I believe that's the case.
Okay.
I believe that's the case. I'm not 100% sure. Now, if we win, there's going to be an angry podcast next Monday. It's going to be an angry podcast in a week if we pull out.
So looking ahead to that Cowboys game, just spending a couple of minutes on it. We're doing great on time. Who should play in that game? Like, we could start with quarterback. We could start with quarterback. Who should play in that game? And I have an opinion. But then, like, just in general, like, so let's start with quarterback and then let's talk in general. So who do you think should be the quarterback for that game?
It's a disaster, and it's a more complicated question.
I think there's only two choices.
It's a more complicated question than you asked, than it seems on the surface, because you're looking at,
it's not that complicated.
Are you trying to lose? Are you trying to do what's best for Sam? Are you trying to give Sam one last shot? There's a lot that goes into that decision. For me, I'm trying to lose that game. I think Sam starting today was malpractice because I don't understand the kid needs to sit no matter what. And then Jacoby gets hurt. Oh, okay, well, I guess the kid needs to go back in. In my opinion, if the truth is Sam needs to sit so that he can get his mind right, it shouldn't matter who's starting. So if that's the mentality and we feel that way going into next week, I'm happy with Jake Fromm. I'm happy with Jacoby Brissett. I got a feeling they're going to start Howell, though.
See, I think there's what you think they're going to do and what would you do. So I don't know if I totally got what would you do. Which of the three would you pick?
I mean, if I had to pick, I'd pick Fromm because I want to lose. And I think he gives us the best chance at losing that game.
Yeah, I think I'd go with Sam. And I think here's how I'd break it down. There's no point to playing Jacoby Brissett. You know what we've got.
He ain't playing.
We know we have a Jacoby Brissett. It's not good for Jacoby. It's not good for the Commanders. There's no benefit at all in playing Jacoby Brissett. Secondly, which is the next part of this question, we don't know who's playing. Do you play Terry? Do you play B-Rob? Do you play any of these guys? Like, who's going to play this game? And I got a feeling that the players that are healthy will probably play. But I think Sam did enough in that first half, and there was enough room for encouragement there that it gives him an opportunity to, prove himself one last time. Now, how that'll go, who knows? I don't think we're beating the Cowboys with either Sam Howell or Jake Fromm. To me, those are the only two choices. One of those two guys. Throwing Jake Fromm out there is just, maybe he plays in the second half or something like that. But I think I start with Sam Howell. And I don't know, in terms of the rest of the players, I'm not sure it matters. I think likely you've got to field the team, and you got to field the team that's decently competitive. So I think we'll probably end up seeing something similar to what we saw today. I don't know who's left to play cornerback. You sure you don't want to stay
because we lose
a little bit longer?
No, I don't want to try and beat CD Lamb off press coverage. I'm good off that. Although for a game check, might be worth a little concussion. Might be worth it. But obviously we saw a couple cornerbacks go down today, right? Holmes went down. He had that kind of scary, faint concussion situation. Thank goodness he got up pretty quick.
And the other kid, I forget his name. The other kid that got the start.
Castro Fields.
There you go.
There it is.
That's what I count on you for.
That's why they pay me the big bucks, baby. Yeah, Castro Fields also went down. So it's going to be tough. I mean, the Cowboys got everything. It almost scares me that the Cowboys got everything to play for, because that seems to be when Dallas but
But at this point, especially with how
It's
depleted
almost
we are, I mean, if
unlosable.
we were going in with a full team, you might be able to talk yourself into, okay, on any given Sunday, we could do something. But with how depleted we are and the weapons that they have, I'm even less confident next week than I was this week.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah.
I think it's at a point where we've got to be the worst team in the NFL, maybe the second worst to New England right now. It's just, I think that's an unlosable game for Dallas, but hopefully I'm not proven wrong. Hopefully I didn't just jinx us. But you want to get into the awards for today, Pop?
Let's do it.
Ready to move on? Let's do it. So, Sauce Award, Terry McLaurin, 4 receptions for 61 yards and a touchdown. I find it slightly sad that that's the stat line that gets you a Sauce Award in 2023, but I'm very happy to see Terry getting active, getting catches, making big plays. Just kind of is what it is. It's where we're at.
The offense
this
only
season.
played one half of football, so
Yeah.
that's a half of football stats. pretty much.
Extrapolate it out. That's 8 catches, 2 touchdowns, and
Yeah.
122 yards. How's that for math, Pop?
Pretty good.
I can multiply by 2. Don't ask me to go by 3.
That's how you debate.
There it is. Helmet stickers. Brian Robinson, 9 runs for 44 yards, and 4 catches for 32. That's it on helmet stickers, I think.
I couldn't think of anyone else.
It's just nobody else to point out. I mean, we
I couldn't
suck.
think of anyone
In
else.
case you've just been dropped back off by the aliens and been on a tour of the universe, the Washington Commanders are bad at football. We suck. This is sad. I can't wait for it to be over. Okay, Cazz, 2 second half picks by Sam Howell. It's got to include that red zone pick. That was the tipping point for me, that red zone pick. And did his arm get hit? Did his arm not get hit? Me and Pop were watching it. We just said, man, it's just so sad. I just felt so sad for Sam, just as a person, and because he comes out, he starts to do some good things. He's looking confident, and then just a tough break. It was a terrible throw. Once it made it out of his hand, I don't know if his arm got impacted or the pressure. You got to imagine the pressure had something to do with it, but just a terrible ball that never should have been thrown, and it's clear that his confidence, just whatever little amount of confidence that he had psyched himself into to get the game started like that, just completely the balloon got
I've got a
popped
couple
with that
others.
throw.
So I don't want to spend any more
Go ahead,
time
go
on
ahead.
Sam, so I got a couple other kick Katzes.
Please. There's plenty to choose from.
Okay, Kotz to Kyle Shanahan for going for it. 4th and goal,
Classless.
up 27-10. Keck Kotz, I know I could be accused of leisure talk. You got no class, buddy. I know you got a vendetta against this group. It's a new ownership. Move on. I was so glad to get that stop, and I might have made a hand gesture or two towards the TV. Allegedly.
Easy. We don't want to get demonetized here, Pop.
Allegedly.
We can't
Allegedly.
we're not monetized yet, so we can't get demonetized.
second.
So let it fly.
The second kick Kotz for me is all you pretend 49ers fans that filled the seats. I know Josh Harris probably loves it, but like we talked about, how many people do we think that were in those stands actually wearing 49ers gear that are from the West Coast, from San Francisco? You pretend fans, Kotz to you as well.
I mean, I am closer to a real Patriots fan, I think. I've signed leases in Boston. I lived there for 5 years. I got to be closer to a real Patriots fan than 90% of those San Francisco.
Yeah, you front runners.
Yeah, bunch of front runners. And
Like I said, being a Washington fan builds character, and look how glorious it's going to be when we finally raise that trophy.
Khalid
I might be
Williams.
87 years old, but it's going to happen.
Oh,
son.
you ain't going to be 87 if we get Caleb Williams. I'll tell you that much, Pop. Woo! That'll get you going,
We're knocking
man.
at the door.
That'll get you
We're knocking
going.
at the fun of this whole season starts next Monday.
Yeah. And
A week from when this pod airs is when the fun really starts.
I mean, we might have to drop a pod Monday,
We might
Tuesday.
be emergency podding at nightly.
It might be a daily
Might have
occurrence. If there's any editors out there that want an internship, give the boys a call. It's unpaid.
It's definitely
If you're in
unpaid.
Howard County, you could get some sauce. But that's about the best.
or
we can do.
LA.
Or North Hollywood. If you're in North Hollywood, you come over. I'll feed you once
I might
a week.
have to pay the grocery bill.
I'll feed
but
you
get
once a
some
week.
sauce.
Pop will pay. I'll use the emergency credit card. Pop will pay the bill, but you'll get sauce once a week on the team. Hell, that's a serious offer. I'd be happy to pass it on. But yeah, it's gonna get fun. We are dropping. Should we just announce it? We're dropping season 2 of the podcast come the off
Season
season.
2.
Season 2 is going to be all kinds of good stuff to talk about.
We'd love to build up those
a brand new
subscribers.
season.
Love anything you could do to do that. Dominic dropped the big announcement. Season 2. We appreciate it. It's been a record year for sure for us.
Definitely.
When it comes to views. But we'd love to build it up. So we might even try to get creative there and see what we could do to maybe do a bit of a giveaway and get those subscribers up. More to come there. But, if you've been listening, thanks a lot. And, looking forward to it. And I think I said the fun starts, after that last game. And, we get the new regime finally can put their stamp on things. And I do think, better times are ahead. I really believe that.
100%.
Karma's got to, it's got to balance out at some point.
100%. Look, we said it going into the year. The Sam Howell thing's a perfect situation because if he balls, we got a quarterback. And if he blows it, we pick in the top 3. And obviously, it's not all on Sam. The whole regime blew it. But we will be picking in the top 3. And it just gets better and better for a new general manager and a new head coach. You're looking at a guy in Caleb Williams that has been touted as a generational talent. I know the ballot's not in yet, and there's a lot that can go wrong between now and then in terms of him getting here. But there's a lot of good stuff. Maybe not for today's podcast, but a lot of good stuff.
Don't sleep on Drake May.
Drake May's a stud, too. I'm happy.
Maybe we get the Carolina combo.
I'm
First
happy
and
with
second
either.
string QB.
Man, that would be wild. That would be wild. Anyways, quick side note. Baltimore absolutely
Our neighbors
ran over the Dolphins. So for anybody that has had anything to say about Josh Harris saying he wants to model our front office after the Ravens,
I'm all for it.
If Josh Harris walks in to the Baltimore Ravens staff and gives them all a 200% increase in pay and just moves them across the Beltway, I would get naked. I would get naked on the pod. We're going streaking. I mean, you want to just talk about the best.
That's going to be a solo pod.
The best ran
That's gonna be a
organization
solo
in
pod.
football, sponsored by Manscaped. The Baltimore Ravens, just absolutely ran them over. 56-19. Lamar Jackson, 5 touchdowns, 18 for 21, 158.3. I believe that's a perfect passer rating. So to that jackass out there who said he's not quarterbacky enough, I think Lamar heard that. I think Lamar felt that. That was this week, by the way. Somebody got on their platform and said that like an idiot. And I think Lamar is going to be the MVP.
Yeah.
I got a couple friends that are going to
I don't like
pretty
name
good off
calling,
of that.
but that I would say is definition of idiot.
That's idiot. That's
Yeah.
complete idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it's ridiculous. But, man, the Ravens are good. We'll see what they
to
can do in the
imagine he was a
playoffs.
free agent. To imagine.
How about the Atlanta Falcons with Desmond Ritter?
You think of what
Said
Denver
they will not pursue
think
him.
of what Denver gave up for Russ Wilson
Oh,
and how that situation's gone. And Lamar was out there.
we could have, in theory, he
Yeah.
never would have wanted to come here. I think Lamar was never going to be anywhere but Baltimore. I think whatever.
I think
anybody
there
else
was a
gave him-
moment there where the door was open because I think, the question is would the Ravens have matched? And you never know. I mean, the media is the media, but there was noise out of there. Anyway, we digress. Unbelievable
Things completely
performance.
falling off the rails. here.
Unbelievable performance. Great player. We've been consistent saying we think
Just stop.
Lamar is
He's
a
a
great
stud.
quarterback. Bit jealous of the Ravens, but I guess a little happy for our neighbors. Are you happy for our neighbors?
Yeah, I am. I said
Wow.
officially. I
You've
said
grown. You've matured.
no. I said officially. Our Ravens insider out of town right now, busy on his honeymoon, and he is going to miss the rest of the season. But he will be back,
He's
and
going to
not.
miss everything he's missed is meaningless now. They've
He'll be
clinched
back.
the conference championship and the best record in the NFL. Both clinched
He
with
will
a
be-
game to go.
So that's exactly what I was about to say. Was he will be back just in time for their first playoff game. So I said to him, I said, you know what? As your wedding gift, I'm rooting for the Ravens for the rest of the year.
There you
I'm
go. That's
supporting-
what turned it around.
I'm supporting the Ravens for the rest of the year. You got Dami on the bandwagon, and all of a sudden you win 56-19 against the Miami Dolphins. That had the Dolphins won today, could have made a real statement. And guess what the Ravens do? Run the damn ball. That's all I got for today.
No, you got to end it right. You got to end it right.
Gotta end it right. Gotta end it right. The mic drop would have been
Well,
hard.
it was just before you end it. Great fun doing this in person. Great to have you in town, son.
Always, Pop.
Love you.
Always.
And we'll be back at you soon. Travel situation with Dominic, we'll see. We might have to make some adjustments from a pod perspective later this week, but we'll definitely be back at it to wrap up the season and see what happens in that Cowboys game.
Yeah, the line hasn't dropped for the Cowboys game yet, but if we don't get back at it, I would just say bet on the Cowboys no matter what the spread is.
The Cowboys.
Let's wrap this thing up. Without further ado, I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
And thanks for another great week, guys. Happy New Year. Let's get on to 2024. How about 2,000 subscribers by the end of 2024?
At least.
How about a little how you doing there? Can we do that? Can we do that? Thank you, guys. Have a great week.
Spread the word.